The Magic Show is brought to you by StarCityGames.com, and check this out. On February 5th and 6th, the StarCityGames.com Open Series returns to Indianapolis, and this event is going to be huge. We're talking hundreds of players, over $17,000 in cash prizes for the Standard, Legacy, and Draft Opens, 18 SCG Invitational slots up for grabs, SCG Players Club benefits, live coverage courtesy of SCG Live, tons of side events, and as much Magic the Gathering as we can pack into one weekend. So make plans to join StarCityGames.com in Indianapolis, and we'll see you there. Hi everybody, and welcome back to our final section of our Mirrodin Besieged set review, which is the last half of the artifacts. We're going to start on the letter P, and we're going to go all the way to the end, which includes our lands for the set. So first up is Peace Strider. Next is Phyrexian Digester.
This is a nice card. It's actually, this card is going to make it a lot easier for people to play Infect and Sealed.
Yeah, I like this card because if you look at Contagious Nim, which is absolutely a playable Infect creature, this is one less toughness and completely free of any color requirements.
Yeah, you might even be able to play, you know, White-Green Infect.
Yeah, absolutely. With cards like this, you certainly can. And with cards like Phyrexian Juggernaut, you absolutely can. This, just like Blightsteel Colossus, is sort of the infecting of Mirrodin.
I like this card.
I love these little sort of throwback things. I think people sort of got tired of them really quickly, and they thought it was kind of hokey, but I thought it was brilliant. I felt like it actually furthered the story that that Rosewater explained to me, which is that Phyrexia was there 5 years ago in Mirrodin, the first time we were there, and they finally sort of showed themselves in this set and in this war.
Right now, Phyrexian Revoker. More Phyrexia. This card is going to be a constructed staple for years to come.
You put Pith and Needle on legs, man, people's going to play it. Period.
Pierce Strider.
I wasn't too impressed with this card.
I like this card a lot. Obviously, this is going to see a lot of play in Limited. I think it's going to see some constructed play, too.
Wow.
Block Constructed, pretty sure. Maybe even Standard. Like, wow. I could see this in an aggressive red deck.
That's a bold statement. But moving on, we're looking at Piston Sledge. Now, I love Piston Sledge because I felt like the art and the flavor text actually made all of this card come together.
Yeah, now, one of my favorite pieces of Magic art of all time is Goblin Sledder, and I think this might be cooler.
It's just that only goblins could make such a simple machine so complex. Plague Mirror.
I think this might actually be one of the best designed cards in the set. It's just so elegant. It's so nice.
I love the elegant, sweet, simple cards. It's like it's natural. You expect it, and because you expect it and it's there just how you would expect it, there's something to be said for that, and there's something to be said like for them to do a little bit less. It doesn't have to be complicated to be really impressive.
And use this to bust out a turn 3 Tezzeret.
Oh yeah, make it a 5/5. Now, Psychosis Crawler is a card with a lot of, it's not obviously awesome.
I like this card. You know, I think it's pretty solid and limited. You got things like Riddlesmith, maybe a couple of Spell Bombs. You can do some good things with this.
You can get there. I like this card. Razor-Filled Rhino, however, I'm a much bigger fan of this card.
I like this card a lot. Now, I think that this card is actually distinctly better than Chromesteed in most situations.
Chromesteed just sort of wouldn't get there by the time he either came online or by the time you played him, but once you're at 6 mana, like a 6/6 is actually going to, well, pretty much always impact the board in some fashion.
Oh yeah, the thing is, cheap metalcraft creatures, it's like, you know, it takes a while.
Yeah.
Expensive metalcraft creatures, you're getting what you pay for.
Speaking of not quite expensive, Rusted Slasher, I feel, is another great card because it's so beautifully simple. 4 mana for a 4/1 is, you know, like it's a lightning elemental, what have you.
Maybe you sacrifice a artifact and you get another 1/1 token, or maybe you draw another card.
Yeah, like for me, I love that, you know, again, it doesn't have to be super impressive to be useful, but Shimmer Mirror is just full of possibilities.
This card is going to be tough to play around.
Now, you got to remember, it just says artifact, not artifact creatures you control have flash. So they throw in their Trigon of Corruption and all of a sudden start putting counters at the end of your turn. Don't be surprised.
I wonder if there are any combos you can do with this card.
I bet there are. Now, Shriekhorn is another one of those cards that I love. I love this card. Now, I know, like, there's so many people who are just going like, this card is crap. I can't believe they're, like, printing this card. I can't believe it takes up space. But it's a beautiful card. People like to mill other people's decks out. They just do. And to give them cards like this, which are a little bit clever, work into the set's themes, like, I just love that it exists. Signal Pest, however,
I think it's all right. I think it could be good in some, you know, aggressive metalcraft decks, but you don't want to put him places where he doesn't belong.
That's fair. Now, Silver Skin Armor, however, I think in the aggressive metalcraft, the control metalcraft, the metalcraft,
the equipment metalcraft,
beautiful, just beautiful. Like, it does what you want it to do. It's very liquid metal coating-esque while still giving you a bonus and giving you metalcraft. Now, Skinwing.
That was another one of my preview cards. I like this card a lot.
It's crazy good. Now, for those who keep looking at it and go like 6 mana, OMG, you're just like, really? Have you played with the Infect deck, particularly limited? Like, you would pay 6 mana for this effect all day.
4 mana for a 2/2 flyer? That's fine.
That's a fine deal. That's not a bad deal. Now, Sphere of the Suns, however, is still, even after we know the entire set, is still in my top 5. Like, I just feel this card is unbelievable.
This is a good card.
This card just does what you need it to do. And I love cards that do that. The card's like, man, you really need to accelerate and fix my mana. And it's like, here you go. Here you go. Spin Engine, he gets in there.
It's fine. You know, it's going to get in for some damage.
I mean, I foresee them like your Mirror can't block, your little 1/1 can't block, but your your X3 can block. You know? Sure. That's okay.
All right. Spine of Ishsa. 7 mana is a lot for a Vindicate effect.
It is a lot, and it's also the weirdest name, really. Spine of Ishsa for a Vindicate effect. You know what I mean? Like, there's things in which you can name artifacts like Doomsday Clock and all this stuff. You know, Ratchet Bomb, and yet this thing destroys a permanent. Yet it's called a spine, and it's about this sort of this mountain range thing. And I'm like, what?
Don't love this card.
Yeah. Now, Strand Walker.
Ooh.
It's the living weapon spider.
It's a good card.
It's a good card.
Not going to first pick it, but yeah, I'm going to be happy to add it to almost any one of my decks.
Yeah, I would absolutely play it in every limited deck I have. I feel it's actually the worst living weapon, and that's sort of saying a lot. That's, you know, like, living weapon's so good. Like, so good. Like, you're going to play you should play every living weapon. That's just my opinion. If you have a living weapon from Mortar Pod and Flare Husk all the way to Strand Walker, you should play them. I mean, don't see why.
Speaking of cards you should play, Sword of Feast and Famine.
Now we went over this quite a bit. All I wanted to say was that the #1 thing you need to get in your head is that you pay 5 to play it and equip it, and then you bash with that creature, and then you untap all the mana that you used to play and equip it. That's very important.
Tango Hulk.
Tango Hulk is a big man. 5 mana, 5/3.
It's not easy to leave up 3 mana, you know, until you get way late in the game.
Yeah.
But if you're attacking, it's going to be pretty tough to block him.
Yeah, I feel like the numbers on this like sort of look pushed because Infect makes all these numbers, like we were talking about Thrun earlier, and you know they make these numbers look amazing, but Infect actually sort of keeps it in check. You know, it's a 5/3 that regenerates, and then it blocks a 2 mana or two power Infect guy, and he's just like a 3/1. You know, it's not that impressive.
Thopter Assembly is impressive.
Yes.
All right, you've got a Time Sieve. You got a Thopter Assembly. Your opponent doesn't get another turn.
The game just ended. I don't know if you knew that, but that's exactly what has happened. So for me, what I had to wrap my mind around was that you don't play this before the Time Sieve. You don't play it and then hope they give you another turn and then you get the 1/1s and then you do the stuff, because that's not how it's going to work. What happens is you play the Time Sieve, you take the extra turn while the Time Sieve is on the board, and then you play the Thopter Foundry, untap, take your extra turn, which then gives you the 5 1/1s, which then just gave you infinite turns. It's brilliant.
We're done.
Now, Titan Forge, you know, like if you're going to build a casual proliferate deck, this is absolutely in there.
You got to remember the Titan Forge. Training Drone.
Training Drone is a skill tester.
Just say no.
Just don't. Just don't. You're going to get blown out. You're going to get hurt. This card is going to hurt you. You know what I mean? Don't be that player.
Viridian Claw.
Cool.
Put this on a creature with Infect. Ouch.
Wow, and 1 mana to equip. Like, you look through all the equipment in this in this block so far, and you go, okay, this might cost this might cost that. You look at like Sylvok Lifestaff, which does give +1/+0 and a benefit when something dies, but this one gives first strike and is cheaper to equip.
Yeah, I think I'll play that.
Well, not cheaper, but as cheap. But either way, it's like it's unbelievable. Like, really, like that's a great effect. Yeah. But contested Warzone for me is actually it's moving on to the lands. It's the most it's the most of the extremes for me. It's like it's going to be unreal or it's going to be horrible. There's just no middle ground for this card.
You know, I don't really see an application for contested Warzone yet, but I'm going to be looking for one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if it's good enough in the attack decks, like to the point where they just run it, even if there might be, you know, aggro decks that they play in the field, that, you know, then that's when the card is amazing. But when the card is not that great, it might be as like a 1 of or 2 of in sideboards to try to beat up on control decks.
Now, Inkmoth Nexus, on the other hand.
Inkmoth Nexus,
probably the best card in the set, not close.
Better than Tesseract?
Oh, Lord, yeah. Like, Inkmoth just goes in every deck. Like, it goes in no matter what you're playing, whether it's Affinity and Legacy, whether you're trying to play some control decks. Because remember, we had mentioned when we talked about this earlier how great it was when you're aggressive. But it's really impressive when you're just blocking. It's just a quicksand that puts a counter that never goes away. Like, that's not a bad thing. It's defensive, it's aggressive, it wins you the game, it can hold off forces. Like, how good is this card? I don't know, but people are starting to catch on. Prices are going up.
I'm looking forward to playing it.
Absolutely. So that was our Mirrodin Besieged set review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For
Steve Sadin,
this is Evan Irwin for The Magic Show, tapping the cards so you don't have to.
Always like the fatties.